Oh, forgive me, Door. I can't wait.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Doom the Dark Ages is coming out here soon, and what better time is there to do a Doomslayer run in Fallout 4? I'm doing this pretty close to the deadline, so we'll see if this gets out in time. For the run, I am only allowed to use weapons that the Doom guy would use, such as miniguns, rocket launchers, and of course, the old reliable super shotgun. I may have a few more surprise weapons, but I'll get into those later in the video. With that being said, let's get into this shit show. I started out trying to get Doom Guy's face right, made a super accurate special sheet, and play with Doom Kit's mobile. That is until the bombs start dropping and I find myself sprinting off to the nearby vault. My wife's mind got fucking blown by a nuclear warhead. I squeezed my muscular ass into a skin-tight jumpsuit, and was promptly given a sub-zero ice bath. I watched a bald bastard kill my wife and steal my son, all the while unaware of what I'll do to him once I'm free from my frozen prison. I was finally able to escape my capture, and immediately began punching my way out of the stupid vault. With my nipples hard enough to stab someone, I grabbed the Pip-Boy and emerged into the wasteland with nothing but rage in my heart, and my Doomslayer armor up my ass. Good thing the Creation Club offers a Doomslayer content pack, but the armor just kind of appears in your inventory out of nowhere, which leaves only one possible conclusion. Every Creation Club item that just appears in your inventory at the start of the game must be stored up the character's ass. There's nowhere else it could come from. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I grabbed the chemistry station and found one of the main mods for this run, Doom 3 Super Shotgun by AthenaX. This adds the Super Shotgun to the game, but I sadly don't have the right components to craft it. Moving on from that, I equipped my armor with the obligatory ab window. When I left, I was hoping to find a double-barrel shotgun on the nearby raider corpse, but it never seems to show up when I actually need the damn gun. I went around grabbing some starter loot, quickly got to level 2, and got the Lone Wanderer perk due to me not planning on traveling with anyone today. I followed the sound of gunshots and gave all the raiders 5 fingers of some ruthless fisting before making it inside and finally found myself a double-barrel shotgun. Editor's note, apparently the first raider that I killed outside also had a shotgun, but somehow I completely missed it. I'm either quite stupid or I'm blind, and both are very plausible. I took my new shotgun out for a spin, using my limited ammo to take out the raider threat, only to realize my 20 fucking strength makes me very good at this. Nothing like some raider teeth to decorate my stock. I met up with Preston, tore the minigun off its brackets, and left nothing but death and hot lead in my wake. I spawned in the demon and absolutely unloaded on the massive scaly piece of shit, melting its health. That is until I got distracted by a lone raider shooting me in the back of the head. I didn't want to waste my ammo on the dumbass and proceeded to gun bash the idiot with my minigun. I went back to chewing through the demon's health until I was finally able to take it down, thankfully just before running out of ammo. I went and dealt with the remaining raiders the old-fashioned way. I went back to Preston and soon met up with him back at Sanctuary to get more XP. I checked on the Super Shotgun and was still lacking some components, which brought me to a slightly less handsome Oscar the Grouch, and causing me to shove my double barrels down the throats of some unsuspecting idiots. One quick stop at Trudy's Diner, I am finally able to craft the Super Shotgun. I checked out the gun's upgrades and was surprised to find all the different options, even one that can increase and decrease my base damage. I won't be touching that one for obvious reasons. Also, can I just say how nice 20 endurance is for traveling around the map, allowing me to run nearly indefinitely. While I was running around, I tried using my shotgun in VATS, and I got the weirdest glitch ever. It sent me into the fucking Shadow Realm, only for me to suddenly appear in the fucking sky and plummet to the ground. I tried to save myself midair, but I ultimately accepted my fate. I went back to running, stumbling upon ArcJet systems, and nearly getting my ass blown up. I discovered Fort Hagen for later, exterminated some nearby demons, and ran to the edge of the glowing sea. I stumbled upon a Deathclaw and Rat Scorpion going at each other. The Deathclaw tried to confuse the Scorpion by flying around, and it seemed to work as it came out the victor. After that, the monster came right at me, and I blasted the thing right in the gut with my shotgun. However, I did so much damage with one VATS shot that I wanted to kill it outside of VATS for some reason. This leads to me getting stun locked by the big bastard and ends up with me getting an unwanted claw up the ass. The next time around, I began chucking grenades into the demon melee, which seemed to spawn another rat scorpion for some reason. Aside from the extra target dummy, I dealt with the Deathclaw before blasting away at the 2 remaining monsters. Now, if you were wondering why I was in the glowing sea, well, the Creation Club has a very special weapon mod. Oh, there it is. The BFG 9000, or the Big Fucking Gun 9000, is a gun that launches a massive ball of energized Mountain Dew at your enemies, and the sheer toxicity of this attack cooks any poor soul from the inside out, including the user as well. Now, trying to get this fucking gun was a pain in the ass, due to the enemy having a pretty open sightline of me coming at him, and the fact that he only needs to get off one single attack in order to take me out. At one point, I fist fought a couple of blowflies in order to grab a critical shot, and try to get close enough to use it, only to get destroyed a second later. I was finally able to come up behind one of the pillars on the red rocket and sneak up on the guy. I didn't give him the chance to fire a shot, and blasted him in the face with my critical shot. With the BFG in my hands, I can cause so much destruction. Little did I know that I would cause far more damage to myself rather than the enemies. I went back to Sanctuary to upgrade my shotgun, and even upgraded my armor to withstand even more damage. I soon found myself at the Cambridge police station, and helped Dance out with his ghoul problem. I even blew up a nearby truck to get some collateral damage. I spoke with Dance as I was planning on joining the Brotherhood for this run. I agreed with joining Dance on an urgent mission to retrieve some tech, and remembered that I had already discovered ArcJet, and fast traveled to the location. We didn't find much on the inside but murderous robots that are in desperate need of some bullets to the dome. Further in, I got to watch my favorite pastime, burning robotic ass. I began dealing with the last few synths, forgetting about my lack of ammo, and was forced to go to my backup weapons. I enjoyed the feeling of their metal jaw crumbling under my fist. I grabbed the deep range transmitter, I got a weapon that I will not be using, and I went back to Trudy for an ammo run. I introduced some raiders to the butt of my gun while on my way to Boston, which got me into trouble with a feral ghoul horde that ate up all of my shotgun ammo, forcing me to deal with them like the synths from earlier. A little annoyed at the ghouls, I decided to drop the dew on them twice. However, a putrid glowing one was able to survive the blast and got too close for me to use the gun again. You know what that means. A couple of broken noses later, I somehow found myself fist fighting a fucking bear. The bastard was pretty tough, and I needed to bring out my super secret Doomslayer technique.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Go down, Smokey! After fighting the bear, I really didn't want to deal with the man. I stopped by Cleo and Daisy to stock up on ammo before returning to Sanctuary. Do not, and I mean do not, ask why I'm stuffing raw meat into this footlocker. I went out and absolutely obliterated a group of raiders, discovered Sunshine Tidings Co-op, where I kill a massive rat roach and the locals who were trying to sleep. I grabbed the magazine that doubles the amount of meat you obtain from kills. This got me curious about doing a Psycho Killer Chef run. Let me know what you think in the comments. After taking out these feral ghouls, I got to level up and grab the Idiot Savant perk. Now, let me remind you, I have 20 fucking intelligence. With this much brain power, the amount of times Idiot Savant would activate is about as likely as me finding a girlfriend. You may be wondering why the fuck I would grab the perk if it was so useless. Well, that's a secret for later, and you'll have to stick around to find out. I stopped by Good Neighbor to stock up on ammo, and found myself dealing with a super mutant threat at one of their nearby strongholds. I was having so much fun fighting mutants that I decided to pay Swan a visit.
Nope.
I started blasting the behemoth with my BFG 9000, but I was surprised to find how little damage it did. That didn't stop me from continuously blasting the thing in the face. After it got too close, I switched to my shotgun and began unloading on it. It was able to hit really hard, so I got it stuck on some nearby terrain to make it easier to handle. This allows me to keep hitting it in the face with my buckshot until I'm finally able to take it down. After Swan, I chased down a raider who was trying to run away from me like a little bitch. I soon found myself entering Park Street Station, ready to take out the triggerman inside, when a single goon just kinda walks out like I wasn't even there. I was starting to like this guy with the massive cojones to give me the side eye. That is until he sprang back to life and I had to take him out with a shot to the face. I continued my way through the triggerman in between me and the vault, trying my best not to waste any of my shotgun shells, even though my aim was absolute shit. Thankfully, gun bashing was very useful at this point, helping me break so many noses as I go. At some point I leveled up and grabbed the second rank of the Idiot Savant perk. Coming through, motherfucker! Thankfully, Triggermen only wear suits and vests for their armor, allowing my shotgun to nearly one-shot everyone I blasted. That doesn't mean I didn't put away my shotgun and enjoyed the sweet feeling of the shattered bones against my fists. There was one guy who was hitting so hard I sent him to the fucking Shadow Realm, never to be seen again. I dealt with Dino.
God, what the fuck?
I freed the living toaster and accidentally fired the BFG far too close to myself. I made sure to be far back the next time around. Along the way, I gun-bashed a goon with the power of God, before getting hit with the same force, making the world melt around me for a split second. Dealing with Skinny was as easy as 2 grenades and a couple of shotgun shells to the face. I finished off Skinny, told Nick I'd meet him at his agency, and picked up the 2nd rank of the gun nut perk. I was making my way to Diamond City and did a little bit of exterminating, as well as getting my ass bitten by a pack of feral dogs. I was finally able to reach Diamond City, grab some Argent plasma cells for the BFG, and distracted the city guard in order to grab Kellogg's house key from the mayor's secretary. I sat down with Nick at his agency, made my way to Kellogg's house, and busted my way into his sex dungeon. Probably not the only thing that bust. I let Dong Meat sniff my hand, dealt with the domestic dispute. I even gave my shotgun a spiked tip. There's a joke there somewhere, but I'm too lazy. One quick level into the armorer perk allows me to upgrade my armor as well. Remembering that I had already discovered Fort Hagen, I fast traveled on over and began fighting through Kellogg's defenses. I've got to say that it's very satisfying to watch my enemies' heads go flying after blasting them in the face. Also, while I was fighting through the synths, I had forgotten that Dong Meat was with me the entire time, so when he comes out of fucking nowhere in order to rip out a robot's throat, it took me a little off guard. Aside from fighting a shit ton of synth guards, I didn't find them all that difficult. Surprise, surprise, a guy who's made the entirety of hell shit their pants doesn't have any problem with glorified tin cans wielding laser pointers. All these damn things were good for were giving me cool slow motion VATS shots. I was tempted to grab the fat man, however, fuck! Trying again, the bald bastard is forced to take the full concentrated power of Mountain Dew. Twice, somehow, I do not understand. Also, I don't know if it's my game glitching out or what, but when you hold down the fire button for the BFG, it's supposed to be gathering energy. However, for some reason, my BFG seems to not do this. I'm just gonna say I have a defective BFG and move on. I grabbed Kellogg's shit, downloaded his search history, I took the longest elevator ride of my life, and saw a war machine that got my shotgun loaded.
If you know what I'm talking about.
I made my way to Nick to discuss my findings, before getting Kellogg's brain bits analyzed by Dr. Amari. I nearly died of boredom, learned who I needed to track down, and was a second away from punching Nick in the jaw for his Kellogg impression. I stopped by Cleo to sell some of my gear. Oh, hello there, beautiful. I made my way to the glowing sea, where I deal with a couple of glowing mole rats, encountered one of many rad scorpions, and blew the legs off a horde of feral ghouls, dealing with the rest of them with my super shotgun. I finally made it to the impact crater, before heading over to Virgil, and paying his guard dog a quick visit. I unloaded into the giant lizard with my shotgun, tickling its tummy with my 12-gauge buckshot, before it went down hard. I finally met with Virgil, who sends me off to track down an Institute Courser, which takes me through a massive gunner base full of fresh meat for my shotgun. The gunners didn't stand much of a chance against my superior weaponry and bulging muscles, bashing my stock against every nose I didn't blow off with my shotgun. Coming to the missile gunner, I stunned them with a grenade and finished off the rest of the soldiers before finding the rocket guy completely immobilized. Where'd he go? I stole his missile launcher and used it against the remaining gunners further into the building. I took a long elevator ride that was interrupted by a corpse that comes out of fucking nowhere and scares the shit out of me. Reaching the courser, I blasted the entire room with my BFG, but the thing kills everything except the damn thing I wanted it to kill. I went back to the old-fashioned way, blasting it with missiles, grenades, and most importantly, shotgun shells. I finished off the courser and grabbed its chip off its mangled corpse, before rescuing the nearby woman because I felt like it. Apparently, my BFG blast knocked a nearby mini-nuke off its usual spot and under a set of stairs, making it impossible to collect the thing, and it just taunts me the entire time. While I was there, I was curious what was behind the door that was on the top of the nearby stairs.
Whoa. This is worthless.
Needing to get the chip analyzed, I made my way to the railroad, having to fight my way through ghouls and mutants. I even nearly got blown up by a suicider. I finally reached the church, blasted my way through the ghoulified residence, and was forced to figure out a stupid-ass puzzle. If you have seen any of my videos, you know where this is going. I was impressed at how many of them survived the first BFG blast, but my second one did a lot of damage. I finished off the survivors, and even made Glory shit her pants in the back corner. I busted my way into the main crypt with a couple of grenades to soften up my targets, and after a quick broken nose, I slowly chased after the limping doctor as he tried his best to hobble away from me. I was impressed that he could take 2 shots of my shotgun, but a quick melee strike soon took him out. I finished off the last of the railroad, stole their shit, taunted Pam from the office, and was finally able to get the courser chip decoded. However, when I tried to exit the base, I was unable to leave. I wasn't even given the prompt to open the door. For a second, I thought I was stuck in this underground hellhole, but I was thankfully able to leave through the back door. If anyone knows why that happened, leave it in the comments, please. When I left the escape tunnel, I was stuck in a loading screen for damn near 5 minutes. When I got out, I wanted to make things suffer. And these poor raiders had the misfortune of being the closest things near me. I'm glad I did actually, because one of the raiders dropped a fucking explosive hunting rifle. Why do I always get the coolest guns when I can't fucking use them? I returned to Virgil to get the teleporter plans, installed the Ass Ripper 5000 to my minigun, before heading over to the Brotherhood. I nearly shoved my shotgun down Night Rise's throat, and soon found myself on a vertibird ride to the Pridwin. Aside from getting turned into mincemeat by a vertibird... What the fuck? These pilots fucking suck. And listened to Maxon's speech before talking to the 4 main proctors. I picked up some ammo from Tegan, and was given a mission from Maxon to clear out a nearby Mutant Stronghold. Say no more! I made sure the mutants knew what my BFG felt like as I tried to soften them up for my shotgun. At one point I tried using my minigun, but the behemoth was able to do far too much damage to me and I switched back to my shotgun in order to stay mobile and out of its reach. That is until I stupidly decided to pull out the BFG again and blast the giant bastard in the face, while I was far too close. Trying again, I made sure to use the BFG farther away from me, using damn near half my ammo as I thinned out the smaller enemies. That didn't stop me from getting up close and personal with the smaller mutants, all the while taking pot shots at the behemoth, slowly but surely whittling its health down. Thankfully, many of the buildings are too complicated for its AI to navigate, allowing me to fight in relative safety. I was finally able to finish off the dickhead, and dealt with the remaining mutants that were able to avoid my shotgun. I made my way inside and tickled a few mutants with my spinning blades of death, before raining nuclear Mountain Dew on the ones in the basement. I finished off the stragglers with some buckshot to the face, including a legendary mutant that was able to take quite a few shots before I finally went down. I talked with Dance after finishing the quest before speaking with Maxon about my teleporter plans. He was curious and sent me on a long and tedious quest of building the interceptor with Proctor Ingram. I began building up the device, when I run out of materials and have to go back to Sanctuary to grab more. While I was there, I decided to grab another weapon mod called Fiery Demonic Sword by Ragnar 1313. This mod adds a massive flaming sword to the game that does an insane amount of damage. This is also the reason I needed to grab the Idiot Savant perks, because they were a part of the weapons crafting requirements for some reason. With everything ready, I went and finished off the teleporter, had to go back to Sanctuary and return with materials for the generators. I spoke with Maxon and told him I'm ready to destroy the Institute once and for all. However, he tells me to infiltrate and find a specific scientist called Dr. Lee. I begrudgingly accepted the order, stood in the center of the teleporter, and with a shock to my shells, I am transported into the Institute. I made sure to download their sensitive information, took a long elevator ride, passing by a bunch of nerds in lab coats, before finally being able to find Doom Kid, stuck in a glass cage. I was about to blow an old man's head off, when he tells me that he is actually Doom Kid, and aged 60 years while I was frozen. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was mortified. My son had turned into a nerd. I grit my teeth and lied my way into the Institute so I could speak with the 4 division heads, the last one being Dr. Lee, the woman I came here for. I used my bulging muscles to persuade her into returning to the Brotherhood in order to help with a very special project. With that completed, I stole some of their shit before fast traveling back to the airport in order to continue the Brotherhood quest line. I started the tedious back and forth between Maxon and Ingram, where I'm shown Liberty Prime in a shit ton of pieces, and I must re-persuade Dr. Lee into helping with the Iron Giant. I met up with Ingram a couple of minutes later, and she somehow has this big scaffolding set up on the tarmac with Liberty Prime being repaired. After grabbing the Demolitions Expert perk, Ingram sends me off to find a very specific component for the robot, which allows me to finally try out my massive sword, cleaving through a Deathclaw and a Scorpion with one slice. I even got to steal a Deathclaw egg. Along the way, I got to fight off a horde of feral ghouls, which resulted in me turning one of them into a crispy pile of ash. When I reached the spot with the component, I tried to take out a suicider with a rocket, but I had forgotten to load the damn thing. However, even when I shot the mutant, it somehow didn't detonate the mini-nuke. That forced me to take it down with my shotgun, hoping to the shotgun gods that it wouldn't blow up in my face. A couple of super mutants and a giant explosion later, I began meticulously making my way through the mutants on the inside, most not being able to withstand one of my shotgun blasts, as well as filling the place with the smell of cooking meat. I took out a nearby legendary, grabbed a laboratory key, and sliced through the last of the mutants in order to find the high-powered magnet for Liberty Prime. I went back to the airport to craft Prime's nuts. Do not ask why there are 4.
An odd medical condition.
I reported back to Ingram with my success, before getting bored with the Brotherhood, and went out and searched for things to kill. I stumbled upon the remnants of a massive fight involving a glowing one and raiders, as well as found a lone scorpion that I wanted to fight. However, for some reason, when it came up from its underground attack, it died a second afterward. I didn't even hit the thing. It just came out of the ground to see the Doomslayer staring down at it with a shotgun, and had a fucking heart attack. I paid a visit to the Enclave Patrol and introduced them to the BFG, only for my regular old missile launcher to do more damage for some reason. I was even able to take out the power armor soldier with ease. I finally made it to my destination, where upon entering I was subjected to a haunted house, and even got jump scared. Ah, holy shit! When I entered the main museum room, I didn't waste time in blasting the BFG everywhere, including the giant deathclaw in the back corner. The monster got too close to me, forcing out my shotgun, and proceeded to chew through its health like it was made out of tissue paper. When it got low, I pulled out the demonic sword to finish the job. I grabbed the pristine deathclaw egg from the nearby bathroom, and a holotape from a gunner corpse. While I was grabbing more ammo from a nearby vendor, I listened to the gunner's message. Apparently, there is a nearby deathclaw nest that I could return the pristine egg to. I mulled over the idea while I was taking out a couple of legendaries at a nearby rundown farmhouse, until I made a decision. I found the Deathclaw nest, and slowly, I placed the pristine egg back in the nest while Daddy Deathclaw watched. Aw, aren't they cute? Do you really think I would let more of these demons into this world? Also, I love omelets. Finally deciding to return to the Brotherhood quest line, I made my way to the glowing sea where I had to fight through a shit ton of rat scorpions. I even got to blow one of their legs up when they popped out of the ground. I reached Scribe Halen on the edge of the glowing sea, who gives me a distress beacon and sends me off to find a special nuclear depot.
He's just standing there, menacingly. Oh, great heavens!
Along the way, I found a half-sunken church swarming with ghouls. Oh shit! I soon returned and began chucking grenades down to the ghouls below in order to thin out their numbers. Oh fuck! Third time's the charm. I made sure that I was far enough away from the edge in order not to fall, and continued throwing grenades like last time. Not able to hit anything else, I made my way inside by the way of the bell tower.
Peekaboo!
Ah, fuck! I made my way through the church, not really having a difficult time as each of the ghouls is taken out by a single shot of my boomstick. When I left, I got attacked by a three-way scorpion gangbang, but my sword made little work of them. Let's go, motherfucker, I'm gonna turn you into my new belt! Smells like bacon. I finally reached the Sentinel Site, unlocked the massive front door, and shot my way through the ghouls on the inside. At one point, I got freaked out by a creepy shadow for a second. Soon after that, I decided to use whatever was left of my minigun on the hallway that was absolutely crawling with ghouls. I was able to take out the majority of them with my minigun, but had to finish off the rest with my shotgun, blasting them all in the face. While I was cleaning up the last few ghouls, I made one go flying with a grenade. Reaching the depot room, I didn't feel like dealing with the Child of Adam guy and threw a grenade inside their room. Now I thought the windows of the pod had glass. I made sure not to miss my next few missiles, finishing off the Assaultron before I could turn my asshole into ash. I unlocked the depot, placed the distress beacon, and blew off the kneecaps of a glowing one in between me and the exit. When the thing's legs finally gave out, I gave the thing some explosive diarrhea before finally returning to Ingram. She allows me to activate Liberty Prime. Now with Karate Chop Action and Ass Fister 9000. Now with Rotational Motion. Get yours today, only $19.99. I am called in by Maxon, who tells me that dance is actually a synth. He sends me to Proctor Ingram in order to find Dance, and Scribe Halen tells me where he is located, but she wants me to keep him alive. When I finally found Dance, I decided on a whim that I wouldn't kill him, even though I was given orders to do so. I had to threaten Dance into not killing himself, as he was a true believer in the Brotherhood. When we left the bunker, Maxon tried to threaten me into killing Dance. Threaten? Me.
You serious?
I made sure he knew that the only reason that I was still on his side was because I enjoyed destroying shit, and told him never to try threatening me again. He allowed Dance to live, and while I was speaking with him, I heard a Molotov go off nearby. Some fire-wielding idiots were trying to attack Maxon's vertibird, and I demolished them with little difficulty. I returned to Maxon back at the Pridwin, and he sends me to Kells for a quest to take down the last of the railroad agents that I hadn't killed the last time. I returned to the old church, and paid a visit to the remaining railroad agents on the inside. They even said hello by setting me on fire to keep me toasty warm. Further inside the church, I accidentally shot a Brotherhood soldier in the back of the head, before I dealt with the agents right there afterwards. Every one of these agents weren't that bright as they didn't wear any helmets, allowing my stock to do massive damage. I planted the bomb on the railroad's front door, and when it exploded I rushed on in expecting a fight. For a second I thought there was nothing on the inside until a whole squad of agents come out the back door, who I say hi to with a missile to their face. I made my way inside to reprogram Pam, and thankfully was able to leave through the main door this time around. I returned to Kells to complete the mission, and was sent to Ingram in order to collect Prime's final part. Before we set out, I grabbed a shit ton of missiles as well as a legendary launcher launcher from Tegan. Me and Ingram hopped aboard a vertibird, officially becoming enemies of the Institute. It's about damn time. For once in a run, I am actually able to use the minigun on the vertibird and use it to rain down hot lead and death onto the synths below, making sure I hit the conspicuous red barrels all over the rooftop in order to cause some explosive damage as well. When we finally disembarked, I went around cleaning up any of the stragglers that were able to survive the hail of bullets. I even ripped one of the synths' ass open with my minigun. I even found Lieutenant Dan as a synth on the edge of the roof. I went inside to find out where the part is located. However, instead of going the normal route and going down the elevator, I found a way of getting down the building much faster. Holy shit! Thankfully, Good Neighbor is right around the corner to the mass fusion building, meaning that its cell is right next to the building, allowing you to fall 50 stories and not break your fucking legs. Using this method, instead of hitting the pavement, I teleport into Good Neighbor as if I activated its front door. This allows me to exit Good Neighbor and enter through mass fusion's front door, making a normally tedious part of the mission much faster. Me and Ingram entered the reactor room. I pulled out Prime's butt plug and welcomed the security droids with a massive green fireball. I was forced to soften up the sentry bot with a couple of missiles before finishing it off with my shotgun. I then switched back to my BFG to deal with the two Assaultrons. However, they got close too quickly while I had the thing charged up and ready. Knowing I shouldn't blast it point blank, I used all 20 of my intelligence and shot the blast into the ceiling. I saw my health begin to burn and quickly got into the Pip-Boy. I began hitting every single chem, healing supply, and piece of food that I owned, desperate to survive this bullshit. I hit a jet and even one of my quantums. When I returned to the game, I was thankfully able to survive and destroy the Assaultrons without even noticing. With the butt plug in hand, I slashed my way through the synths that got in my way, leaving nothing but their burning plastic bodies in my wake. I stopped by Good Neighbor to grab some more ammo from Holy shit, back the fuck up! Staring into my soul! I went back to Sanctuary to upgrade my armor before the final mission. I was low on components and went out to search for more, and surprisingly was attacked by an Enclave hit squad. I didn't even know they sent out soldiers to hunt down the player. They weren't that effective against me, to be honest, as I took them out. I was able to grab the material and upgraded my armor to the max level. While I was there, I upgraded my minigun and added a quad barrel to my legendary missile launcher. With everything ready, I returned to Ingram, slid Prime's butt plug deep inside.
Oh, Megatron, you're so big.
Realized there's an elevator on the side of the scaffolding. I pushed the big red button and watched as Liberty Prime erupted from his restraints and began to make his way down the street, his massive robotic feet making the ground shake with each lumbering step. I followed along after Prime, but he made short work of everything that got in his way, especially with those immense nuclear payloads. Our journey brought us to the Boston Harbor, and when he finally reached the other side, I nearly took one of his nukes to the fucking face. Farther in, I watched him bombard a small group of super mutants that chose the wrong motherfucker to shoot at. He even turned a behemoth into a pile of ash. At least that's better than what he did to the next one. We finally arrived to the CIT ruins, and I immediately launched multiple missiles at the synths guarding the area. As we were destroying whatever the Institute threw at us, I got to enjoy my large weaponry as I chewed through them. A couple more kills later, and Prime began to laser fuck the ground open and finish the job with a nuclear bomb. I hopped into the Institute's gaping hole and luckily landed right next to the teleporter room. Before we continued, the elevator came out of nowhere and beckoned me inside, but when I tried to press the button, it didn't work. I wasn't surprised, but I was kind of annoyed. I busted down the door to the bowels of the Institute and started my massacre by blowing the shit out of a couple of synths. While I was going through the robots, I wanted to use every one of my weapons at least once, making sure they all have a taste of some robotic blood. I let loose with my minigun against the synths on the lower floor, and when I ran low on ammo, I let loose with even more missiles until there was nothing left. I destroyed the random sentry bot to acquire a large stockpile of 5mm rounds, and soon moved my massacre to the food labs, where I dealt with the robotic monkeys like they were nothing. Have I mentioned how much damage my demonic sword can do? It's fucking ridiculous. Upon entering the main atrium area, I was high out of my mind and blasted away with the remaining ammo for my BFG. It was only a couple of rounds, but they were able to do a good amount of damage against the synths inside. I soon switched over to my sword and hacked my way through the tin cans. I even took out a dangerous black armor synth with my shotgun before dealing with the most dangerous enemy of them all.
The security override.
When the atrium was cleared, I took the elevator to Father's room, let him feel the sweet relief of death, and dealt with his body in the most respectful way. I disengaged the shutdown, and was even able to deactivate some of the synth guards, making the path to the reactor room even easier than before. I still destroyed any of the synths that I came across, be it moving or standing still. I made sure to finish off the 2 synths that were asleep on the job, and absolutely destroyed a single synth with my minigun, kinda juggling him in multiple different death animations. I continued my way to the reactor room, destroying turrets along the way, and I decided to chuck grenades into the final room from the window overlooking the reactor. All hell let loose, and I made sure to be in the thick of it with my minigun. I destroyed anything that moved, filling it with hot lead, including an annoying black armor synth with a flamer. I made my way to the final enemy at the top of the reactor, and I thought it would be fitting to finish him off with my super shotgun, finally finishing it off with a blast to the face. Feeling the high of victory, I placed the bomb on the reactor core, got zapped out of there and back to the teleporter room. I allowed the robot Sean to come along, told Ingram to fire up the teleporter, and as I entered the relay, I am transported to the top of the mass fusion building. With a press of a button, the Ins-2 went up into a massive fireball, proving that yes, you can obviously beat Fallout 4 as the Doomslayer. Thank you to everyone who made it this far into the video, and I hope you enjoyed. While I'm writing this script, I am unaware if I'll be able to upload this video in time. If I did, great. If I didn't, better late than never. Thank you to everyone who came out to watch another one of my stupid videos, and I hope to see you again. With that being said, love you guys, see ya.